And now for a Next News special report.
Tonight, we're peeling back layers of a scandal that is rocking this nation. Imagine this, a top official crucial to our nation's security goes AWOL. But not just any official. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin himself. Now picture the White House, the symbol of American leadership, scrambling, not to address the crisis, but to cover it up. This is not a plot from a political thriller. It's happening right now under the Biden administration. And now we're going to dive deep into this unfolding drama, a saga of lies, secrecy, and betrayal at the highest levels. So what does this mean for our republic, for our trust in those who lead us? Well, stay tuned, because in my final thought, I'll reveal why this isn't just a political scandal, but a moment of reckoning for every American. You don't want to miss this. Before we do dive into the details of our report, I want to share something crucial. Just like how we bring you top-notch, unfiltered news daily, there's something else that demands your attention: your health. Excess belly fat, much like misinformation, is dangerous, lurking unseen, pressuring our vital systems. And that's why, like many of you, I'm turning to a groundbreaking solution. This scientifically formulated substance targets fat storage, accelerates fat breakdown, supports weight management, curbs cravings, and boosts metabolism. Think of it as your ally in maintaining your health, just as we are in delivering you the truth. Now you can get it at 51% off. Don't wait. Visit trimwithgary.com. That's trimwithgary.com. Now we're going to uncover a scandal that strikes at the heart of our republic. It's a tale of deception, negligence, and a blatant disregard for protocol by the Biden administration, specifically concerning Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's recent AWOL situation. This isn't just a minor oversight. It's a full-blown crisis of confidence. Now, our story begins with Secretary Austin's unexpected hospitalization. Okay? For 4 days, the White House, State Department, and a majority of the Pentagon were kept in the dark. When they finally caught wind, their response was far from transparent. They chose to conceal the situation, raising serious questions about their commitment to honesty and accountability. Now let's talk about the implications. Austin's AWOL incident isn't just about his absence, it's about the integrity of the administration. When those at the top are disorganized and deceptive, it cascades down, affecting every level of government. So how can we trust a government that hides the truth even from its own ranks? And the plot thickens when we consider the role of Austin's staff. They too were complicit, prioritizing loyalty to an individual over their duty to the institution and the American people. This sets a dangerous precedent. When personal allegiance trumps professional responsibility, our national security is at stake. But let's not stop there. We must scrutinize Austin's entire tenure. His truthfulness has been called into question multiple times. Recently, Montana Representative Matt Rosendale shed light on this in an interview highlighting Austin's pattern of deceit. Take a look.
Walk us through your reasoning for the articles of impeachment.
Basically, this is because of pattern of behavior that the Secretary has demonstrated since he has taken his oath of office, misleading and flat out lying to the American people. Most recently, it endangered our national security with all the conflicts that we are engaged in, all of the attacks that are taking place on our bases around the world. He admitted himself into the hospital, had a surgery conducted. We don't know how long he was sedated for, how much he was, whether he was put under or not. The President of the United States was not even informed of this. It compromised our national security. My gosh, we found out that the deputy was informed as she was on her vacation in Puerto Rico sometime after the surgery that she was going to be taking on those duties. That is not a good place for us to be. We saw an absolutely terribly botched withdrawal from Afghanistan, where 13 service members were killed unnecessarily. And then if we go back another 12 months, we see that the country was literally spied upon from a Chinese spy balloon. The Secretary was aware that it entered our airspace over the Aleutian Islands. He allowed it to continue to go across Alaska, across Canada, enter into the airspace above Montana, where it spent several days collecting data and images of the very sensitive defense systems we have there, the ICBMs and Malmstrom Air Force Base. And again, he misled. First would not even confirm that this spy balloon was around, and then misled the American people by saying that it could not collect data. and we found out that it could collect data and images and that it could not transmit that data back to China. And now we have cellular information that shows that, in fact, they actually were doing just that. So this pattern of behavior of misleading and lying to the American people, jeopardizing our national security, has compounded to the point that I do believe, and many of my colleagues, I think, will support this resolution to impeach Secretary Lloyd Austin.
Moving on, the Pentagon's response to the debacle was to announce an inquiry, but consider this: Austin's chief of staff, the person who delayed sharing crucial information, is spearheading the investigation. How can we expect a fair and unbiased inquiry from someone so deeply involved in the cover-up itself? So this brings us to the heart of the issue: Austin's so-called elective surgery. Labeling a procedure as elective when it involves serious health concerns like cancer is misleading at best. It downplays the severity and raises questions about the transparency of the administration's communication. And the confusion doesn't end there. When pressed about Austin's condition, the narrative from the White House was inconsistent and evasive. John Kirby, National Security Council spokesman, struggled to provide clear answers during a press briefing, highlighting the disarray within the administration. Watch.
We learned also today that Secretary Austin, when he went into the hospital for the first time on December 22nd, he knew he was going to be under general anesthesia. He knew he was going to be spending the night, and transferred authority to his deputy secretary. Was the White House informed then that the authority was going to be transferred?
No. Now let's dissect the timeline. It's alleged that President Biden was informed about Austin's condition only after significant delays. The disconnect between the Pentagon and National Security Council and the president himself is not just alarming, it's unacceptable. It points to a breakdown in communication and, more importantly, a breakdown in trust. Here's a critical point. Austin's responsibility was to ensure a seamless chain of command. His failure to do so not only once but twice is a dereliction of duty. It's not about his personal health, it's about the responsibility he carries as Secretary of Defense. In a role that demands the utmost integrity and transparency, Austin's actions are indefensible. The White House handling of the situation only adds fuel to the fire. During that press briefing, the exchange regarding Austin's absence was tense and revealing, and the lack of clear communication and the administration's attempt to downplay the situation only deepened the crisis. Here's more.
So the president has known for, I guess, 5 days now that Secretary Austin was in the hospital, but he wasn't informed why?
He was not informed until last Friday that Secretary Austin was in the hospital. He was not informed until this morning that the root cause of that hospitalization was prostate cancer.
Is that because the White House knew and didn't inform the president, or because Secretary Austin chose not to share that with the president?
Nobody at the White House knew that Secretary Austin had prostate cancer until this morning, and the president was informed immediately after we were.
Okay. Last week, we learned that Jake Sullivan, I believe, found out about the fact that Secretary Austin was hospitalized on Thursday morning. So just want to clarify, are you saying the president found out a day later than the NSC did?
No, Jake was informed, our National Security Advisor was informed that Secretary Austin was in the hospital and had been for some time. He found out late Thursday afternoon, and he and the Chief of Staff, Mr. Zients, informed the President later that evening, early that evening, not long after they learned. They informed the President directly, Thursday evening.
Nothing confusing about that, right? And then there's the million-dollar question: why should we believe anything this administration tells us? When Kirby acknowledged the credibility the challenge to credibility, it was more than an admission of a signal failure. It was a confession of a systemic issue within the administration. Watch.
Okay, thank you for all the detail on that. But more broadly, why should we believe anything that this administration tells us about anything ever again?
I think we all recognize, and I think the Pentagon has been very, very honest with themselves about the challenge to credibility by what has transpired here, and by how hard it was for them to be fully transparent with the American people. I think we all recognize that. And wait, now just give me a second now. I know you got another one coming here, but we all recognize that this didn't unfold the way it should have on so many levels, not just the notification process up the chain of command, but the transparency issue. We all recognize that. And I think we all want to make sure we learn from that. It's up to you and your colleagues, and it's up to the American people to determine, how much they're going to ascribe what happened here to our credibility on every single issue. But in every way, Secretary Austin has been an exceptional defense secretary, and he still has the full faith and confidence of the commander-in-chief. He has led the department at an incredibly dangerous time for our national security interests and those of our allies and partners.
But if the administration is going to go to such great lengths to keep secrets about the defense secretary's health, how can anybody be certain that the administration would not go to the same lengths to keep secret problems with President Biden's health in the future?
If you could logically argue, and you can't, but if you could logically argue that
He's 81 years old.
Wait a second. Just give me a second here, bub. I'll get there. If the administration made some sort of Machiavellian effort across the board to keep this from getting public, then I think your question has merit. And certainly is a fair one. I don't think it's a fair one because that's not what happened here, Peter. What happened here is the Secretary of Defense, for whatever reason, I can't answer the question why, that information wasn't shared. It wasn't shared widely in the department, and it certainly wasn't shared with the interagency. It's not good. It's certainly not good, which is why, again, we want to learn from this. We want to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
We want to learn from this. Okay, so you're admitting that there's a problem that needs learning. How about some accountability? Now, the Austin saga is more than just a story about a high-ranking official's health crisis. It's a reflection of the current state of our leadership. It reveals a troubling pattern of evasion, miscommunication, and lack of accountability. This isn't just about Lloyd Austin or the Biden administration. It's about the very principles that our republic stands on: transparency, honesty, and integrity. As we close this segment, remember, we as citizens of this great republic deserve leaders who are forthright, responsible, and above all, trustworthy. The Austin incident is a stark reminder that when these qualities are absent, our national security and the very fabric of our republic are at risk. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. It's vital we stay informed and hold our leaders accountable. And now, my final thought. As we conclude tonight's report, it's crucial to reflect on the broader implications of the Lloyd Austin saga. It's not just a scandal. It's a symptom of a deeper melee plaguing the Biden administration, the chronic corrosive habit of misleading the American public. Time and again, we've witnessed a pattern of deception, half-truths, and blatant lies emanating from the highest levels of this government. The Austin debacle is not an isolated incident. It's part of a disturbing trend that undermines the pillars of our republic. As Americans, we deserve better. We deserve leaders who uphold the values of honesty, transparency, and accountability. This administration's continual evasion and obfuscation of the truth are not just disappointing, they are downright dangerous. They erode the trust between the government and the governed, a trust that is essential for a healthy, functioning republic. And it's time to demand and expect more from those in power. The integrity of our nation depends on it. Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. Now keep up your quest for truth with this next news report. And if you found our channel enlightening, join the millions who agree with you. Tap subscribe. Thank you for watching the Next News Network.